Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. I mean, I always say this. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time you pulled up to this to watch. Welcome to Tuesday.
Welcome.
Okay. You already know
A
we're
little
normally
different.
here on Wednesdays. I mean, last time we were here on Thursdays. Now we switched it up to Wednesdays and we got another little into the system. We have added a Tuesday specifically for this week because we really wanted to get our guest on tonight, y'all. I'm so excited. But anyway, as you already know, shout out to you for pulling up. You are
Yes,
on life. You're
welcome.
on our live. Okay, you're on our today's Tuesday. You're on our live with Trey and Jay. I'm Trey.
And hey, I'm Jay.
And as you already know, on this channel, we share our lives to empower others to love Jesus, love themselves, and love others well. So, per usual, even though we have a whole new day for today. We're still keeping it, we're still keeping it the same. Per usual, Janelle is going to pull up and let us know a little bit about our guest. So, Janelle, let me
Well,
flip it
hi
over to
everyone.
you.
I'm going to tell you about our guest, but first, I just want to go back with to share what we've been doing for the month of November. I was going to say October. I'm like, wow, we're halfway into the month
Y'all,
of November,
it's
right? It's so
kind of
crazy.
nuts. It's kind of nuts.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm already watching my Christmas movies, and Tracy's been watching a Christmas
Listen,
movie.
toes curled, folded, popcorn,
um,
tea in hand,
so
y'all. Yep.
So this month we've been going over boundaries. We've been talking about boundaries, and we've been focusing on this book, Set Boundaries, Find Peace. So we've been thinking about what does it look like to have boundaries in different parts of our lives, right? So we talked about boundaries, like what it is overall the first week. The second week, we talked about boundaries and in your business. And now today we're excited because we're going to talk about boundaries in the workplace. And we have a friend here. It's interesting how we have so many great women, great people in our circle alone. So I was talking to our guest and she said she went to college with Tracy. I'm like, I didn't even know. And
Yeah.
Actually met her through other friends, but she has an organization or a company called Proclaim Your Success. And I want to hear all about it. So, and I want you to hear all about it too.
Yeah.
Her name is Sharoma. Sharoma, are you with? Well, yeah, you are with us. I don't even
Yes,
have to ask you.
I am
Hey,
here.
girl. Isn't
Hi,
she
ladies.
beautiful,
It's all
everyone?
the colors for me. It's the
I
red,
love
it's
it.
the
I love
yellow,
the
it's the
yellow
purple.
with
I'm
the
here for it
hair.
with the nails
Y'all
perfectly
feeling
manicured. I am here. She arrived for us
It's like
today
a
on
ray of
this
sunshine.
Tuesday,
I love it.
y'all. Okay.
it? Y'all
She
feeling it?
really did. I'm telling y'all, we really made sure we had a Tuesday specifically so we could have this conversation.
Mhm.
So I'm really super duper excited and hoping you guys all stay tuned. Yes. All right. Go ahead.
Y'all are giving me all the energy. Okay.
Good. Because we here
Good.
for it. So,
Love it.
boundaries in the workplace. First,
hmm
before we get into the topic, tell us about yourself and what you
hmm
we want to hear all about that.
Okay. So, as mentioned, I am Sharoma J, aka Miss Proclaim Your Success. Proclaim Your Success is essentially my personal brand for myself that I gave birth to in 2016. It essentially, in a nutshell, is defining what success means for you, to you, what it looks like, and then really proclaiming that. And so, with that being said, when I think about tonight's topic and what success means to me, it's a clear line between what I have deemed for success and boundaries for myself and what I need it to look like for any setting that I'm in. So, with that being said, to tie that in to tonight's topic, in order to set boundaries in the workplace, you have to understand what boundaries look like for you.
Come on. We
Because we
starting
said in
already.
the
I mean,
beginning, we said that
snatch
from
my edges and we just started. Like, come
yeah.
on. Okay.
I mean, you have to. You have to know who you are. You have to know what boundaries you have for your personal life.
hmm
I
That's
love that.
legitimately the first conversation that we had this
hmm
month opening about boundaries was talking
hmm
about how essential it is to have that and to have that understanding of self first before we can get into
Yeah.
what boundaries I need. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Mhm.
Absolutely. I mean, I can go in a little bit more. I don't know if the questions are.
Go ahead
Don't
and
say it
Oh,
over.
go ahead. Go
Over.
ahead.
Additionally, because I was giving this topic a little bit of thought, um, because boundaries are so crucial and they look different for every area in our life, right? Like the boundaries that we set with our family members, the boundaries that we set with our significant others, with our friends, with ourselves. They're all different, but they're all essential. And so
Yes.
the other thing about setting boundaries in the workplace is really understanding the difference between your workplace, your career, and your passion. And like, are
Mm.
those in
Wow.
alignment? Because you wouldn't understand what a boundary looks like if you just go into a job just to go to a job to make money, right?
Mm.
You would understand what a boundary looks like if you're like invested in this career, and does this particular position enlighten you, does it feed you? I think there was a in the past, what I've seen is that people just do things for money. I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's
Yes.
still people doing that. However, we graduated a lot from, okay, does this particular position serve me and the boundaries that I set for myself? We go into these situations where we're applying for jobs just because, we need the extra cash flow or we need a particular job. But what are you adding value in terms of this position? Are you adding value to this position? And is this position adding value to you? And how does it align with the boundaries that you set for yourself and the goals that you have for yourself in order to create that space within the workplace?
So, okay. Wow. All right. So I'm just gonna need to like dial it back one notch, right?
Okay.
So tell us why you can have this conversation.
I can have this conversation. That's a great question. From a standpoint of being a full time entrepreneur, right? Prior to becoming a full time entrepreneur, working in settings that were not serving me.
Mm.
And now, most recently, embarking on a new journey as an organizational effectiveness consultant for a managing consultancy firm that serves what I went to school for 10 years ago and that serves my goals, right? So, in order for me to get here, I had to go through those jobs that were great. I mean, I traveled all the time, I made great money. However, there was a glass ceiling and I stopped learning and I stopped developing. And so I didn't have boundaries. I just was going to the job because the job was fun and it made me
Mm.
some money, right? And
Wow.
I was working with people that loved it, that's still doing it right now for 30 something years. But that stunts your growth as a whole. You're I don't know what everybody else thinks and what people have been taught, but if your day to day, where you spend a lot of your time, is not serving your growth and where you want to go, then you don't grow personally. Your job, your profession, your career, your entrepreneurship should be serving who you see yourself as so that you can get there. But if
Yeah.
you don't have those boundaries within yourself, then you're going to just do whatever you can just to survive. And we are not here just to survive. We're here to thrive. We're here to proclaim our success, right? So, what does that look like for you? And how do you position yourself to do that?
Mm.
Yeah, and it's interesting that when I was in high school, I worked at Modell's
Hmm.
downtown Brooklyn, across the street from where now is the Barclays Center.
Hmm.
And before it closed down, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, I went there for something and I saw some people that I used to work with.
Hmm.
And I said, wow, like that actually hurt my heart because they weren't in like a manager position. Even if they were like, I graduated high school a long time ago. And, it just made me think like, if this is what they want, fine. But I don't think this is what they want because I remember the complaining back then, but there weren't boundaries set. I mean, it even started in my life, when you don't set a certain boundary with your career, in your career, you will just float along.
Hmm.
You'll just be, and pretty much you're not even flowing upstream. You're kind of like just hovering in this one place. So yeah, that when I think of boundaries in the workplace, I didn't think about that. I thought about, you know, having this thinking about my boss and them not talking to me a certain way, or my well, I don't say boss, supervisor, I meant to say.
I was about to hit
My
my
boss.
hand. I was
I
Oh,
about
always
to
I
say
say,
the
know.
only boss
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have
yeah.
is Jesus, only God. So I had to correct myself with that.
It's
So
the
not
it's the
boss. Yeah, the only the only boss I have is
I
God.
think
But yeah,
Can I add something to that
yeah,
just for the viewers that still use that terminology, boss? Because I think that plays a role in the workplace with the boundaries, right?
right.
Let's talk about why we don't use that word, what that means. Because for me, I don't, if I consider someone a leader or somebody's a manager or a director of a particular department, or even the department that I'm working with, right? They spearhead that. They don't spearhead me.
And
So
I'm
the
not love
language
it.
already creates a barrier with your boundaries in the workplace, because
Oh,
if you visually see that person as your boss, then you don't think that you can be a fulfilling value add, because you think that person is smarter than you, they run you, and then you minimize yourself to fit into a position that's not serving you, and then you forget about your boundaries. Language is so
It
important
is. It is.
to
It is.
boundary setting. It all is a wheel and it's interconnected. And we need to be cognizant about the things that we're saying, because if we're not, it's going to repeat itself and show up in a lack of boundaries.
Yeah.
so I think one of the things that we're talking about, of course, is how important language is to setting our boundaries and to owning our boundaries, of course,
Mhm.
but also what do the on the job boundaries look like that you're talking about? Because from my understanding, the way that you're referring to, like, things serving you,
Mhm.
and you actually finding joy in that, and when you find joy in that, you will continue to grow, because you'll continue to you'll continue to have initiative, you will
Mhm.
continue to find something new to love,
Mhm.
you'll continue to find different ways to be a value add,
Mhm.
and really just affect the culture of what it is that you're doing. So what would you say are some of the on the job specific boundaries that need to be set um internally in order to walk outwardly for that?
That's a great question. And I have my book under here because specifically remember, which is propping up how we view each other. So I can't take it out, but I remember what I wrote down. The first 3 days of onboarding with this new position, I remember seeping back into who I showed up as in the past when I worked
Mhm.
for a company, right? And so the three main things that I wrote down that I needed to do for myself in order to succeed within this role on the job, even though everything is virtual right now, on the job, we're even talking about how you show up virtually. And the three things I wrote down was time management, setting boundaries, and prioritizing.
There you go.
You have to prioritize when you're on the job, because on the job, so many people, especially depending on, what role you have, whether you're working in silo or you're working with a team, so many people require so much from you. But if you don't prioritize what's most important, then you won't show up in the areas that need your time in the time that they need your time, right? The other thing that I do for boundary setting within a job setting is creating not just the to-do list. What must I do today? So I create a huge to-do list, right,
Mhm.
of things that I need to get done. And then I prioritize them and break them down and say, okay, for today, these are the things that I'm going to do, because I must execute these things today. Because if I don't execute these things today, then I fall short for tomorrow. And I do that within the workplace. And I also do that within the things that I'm doing for myself. So those are the tangible things that I always remember
Yeah.
when I feel like I'm all over the place and there's a lack of boundaries. The last thing I want to say is that I specifically remember having so many different things thrown at me, great things, learning opportunities, lots of different things that opened my eyes. And then I had to say to myself, okay, Sharama, how do you eat an apple? I don't know how you eat an apple.
One bite at a
One at
time.
a
One
time.
bite at a time.
One at a time. Yeah.
And if you don't say that to yourself, especially in the workplace, you will end up doing everything and nothing all at the same time. You
Lot of
can't
mercy, she said everything and nothing.
You
Pause. She said
know the
everything and nothing.
feeling. I
You
know
doing
the feeling.
everything and nothing.
Like this.
Yeah,
Ah.
yeah, you doing everything and nothing all at the same time. You cannot swallow a whole apple, right? You eat it one bite at a time. Once that bite is taken, you take another bite and another bite and another bite. And if that becomes a problem in the workplace, then maybe that workplace, that particular workplace, isn't serving you and who you are working towards becoming. If you
So
notice, go ahead.
no, no, no. I finished what you were saying. I
I was
apologize.
going to say, I substituted the word try a long time ago with working toward because it negates every single thing that you're saying before you use the word try. Try to me is like a but. So even when you're in the workplace and you're saying, oh, I'm going to try to execute that, that says to me that you're not working towards executing that particular thing. So again, language. But go ahead.
So what I was going to say is talk us through the person who is working
Hmm.
and may love their job
Hmm.
and have gotten to a point where they're just like something is different, something is happening. Talk us through what that may look like for the person who decided that they are in need of something else, but they're still trying to seek it. Well, like, talk us through that portion of things, because I think that where you're coming from you're specifically talking about boundaries in the workplace, and then you're saying, and you're making a point,
Hmm.
which I love, that you're saying like, this is what I do at work and this is what I do for my personal self, for whatever it is that I am personally doing.
Hmm.
So you're showcasing to our audience that you can have the both and, depending on what the both and looks like for
Yeah.
you. Um because I think we have this like culture of like, you should be doing one or the other. Like you should, if you're not doing this, you should be doing, and it's like,
Hmm.
that's not realistic to everybody.
Hmm.
But I'm saying to you, if you can talk us through to the person who has been loving what they're doing, but then there was a shift, and they're trying to do something for themselves, or
Hmm.
in that process, like, what does that look, how do you
Hmm.
create those types of boundaries
Hmm.
when you are in the initial phases of things?
Hmm. So, just a clarifying question. So, what I'm hearing you ask is, I love my job. I'm the person that loves my job. I've been working there for quite some time. I love what I do. Sometimes I may spend additional hours after my salary hours of 8 hours invested in that job, invested in that company and their
Right.
vision. And then one day I go into work and I'm like, wait, what about me? Like, I
Mhm.
like to do art, I like to do
Yeah.
pottery, or I have this entrepreneurial fire in me that I want to give birth to, but I don't know where to start. Is that
Yeah.
what you're asking
Yeah.
me?
Yes, precisely.
Okay, great. How do you create boundaries around that without losing your job or feeling like you have to let go of your job in order to pursue something else?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
I think that's a great question. I think it starts with looking at time management, looking at how much time you're really investing into the company's goals. Like, I'm not the person that's going to really say things that are, I guess, not cliche. The person that's going to say things that people want to hear. I'm going to say things that you need to hear. And it's okay that you have probably spent a lot of your time invested in a company's vision and then you switch and you're like, okay, what
Mhm.
about me? It's okay to feel that.
Yeah.
You need to start subtracting the hours outside of those 8 or 9 hours that you've committed to for that company and start investing 2 to 3 hours a day for yourself.
Yep.
What does that look like? Read up on what it is that you're working towards.
I love that you mentioned 2 to 3 hours. And the reason why I'm saying that specifically is because I was reading somewhere, and I think that
Mhm.
um like I kind of just think of people in a scope of what is actually available to them in their lives.
Mhm.
And in your life, you may very well get home at, let's say, if you are out, if you're out
Mhm.
and not working remote or hybrid or what so have you, you may very well get home at 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. you're probably trying to have dinner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Either eating and or making it.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time you actually fully sit down to do something, you're likely exhausted,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it is probably like 9:30,
Mm-hmm.
and then you probably started scrolling or looking at something or reading something
Mm-hmm.
for about 30 to 45 minutes, and now
Mm-hmm.
it's 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And so that whole concept of dedicate 5 hours after your workday may seem really unrealistic to some people.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even add, and excuse me, I didn't even add like what it looks like if you have a partner, have
Mm-hmm.
multiple children,
Family.
or
Yeah.
even just one, because I mean, like, one can be like eight, like until you have eight and you're like, oh my gosh, it's too much. You know what I mean? Like, so having one, you're like, okay, I'm trying to make sure. Did you eat? Are you okay? Is your, like, you know what I'm saying? Are you okay? What is happening
Mm-hmm.
with you? What are you doing? What are your needs? Am I tapping into your needs?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have a partner. Am I tapping into your needs? Like, are do you? Then you have yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Then, and I'm not doing this in any particular order.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you're just like, okay, what do I need? And by the time you
Mm-hmm.
ask yourself these questions, I think you are then tapped, to a
Mm-hmm.
degree or another. So it really, to me, if I were the same, if I were the person that you're talking about specifically,
What would
it
I
would
do?
really alleviate a great deal of stress to hear 2 to 3 hours,
Mm-hmm.
because that sounds super realistic as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to 5, 6 after the workday,
Mm-hmm.
because you're
Opposed
just
to
like,
eating the whole apple.
right,
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to like eating the whole apple is like you're choking, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I love that you said 2 to 3 hours. I just really had to interrupt you there, and I hope you remember what you were saying, but I needed to say that because that
No.
was so good. I know our audience needed to hear that. At least I know for
Mm-hmm.
myself, I definitely needed to hear that too.
And I love the examples that you gave, and so much came up for me in those examples. And I think this is for another live, but I heard,
Y'all heard it here first. You already heard she tried to come on here again. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying, y'all, is she said she trying to pull up
Coming on
again.
again.
I'm
Okay,
pulling up.
that's it, y'all.
What I heard in that example is such a realistic example. And what I heard was lack of self boundaries, right? And then communicating your needs as the woman within the household,
Mm.
right? Because most of the time, as women, we come at home and we put everybody before. I saw my mom do it. I see other women doing it, and so that's a whole nother conversation about, you know, the needs for boundaries as women in the household after the workplace, right?
Yeah.
And what that looks like, and
Mm.
the communication that is lacking because we want to wear the S on our chest or our cape.
Yeah.
But another time.
Can we talk about that in the workplace though? Because I know of so many friends that say this is before the COVID. And so I can only imagine how it is now. A lot of them say, I'm doing like 2 roles or 3 roles, and they're only paying me for 1 role. And I'm like, you need to tell them no. And I know it's easier said than done, but a lot of my friends, a lot of us, a lot of, especially a lot
Mhm.
of Black women, we wear our S, like you said, the S on our chest. We're strong Black women, which we have to like reframe as well, because that's a whole nother topic, like you said.
Mhm.
But we see it in the workplace. Now,
Mhm.
what would be your suggestion about that? Because a lot of us find ourselves, before you know it, we're looking up and we're like, wow, I'm doing someone's job who's on maternity leave, and then the other person's job who is here but not really doing their job, or they literally had to fire someone, and so now I'm taking their job, and I'm in all these roles, but I'm only getting paid for 1 role, and I only have benefits for one.
So you see this eyebrow that's like going up?
Yeah, girl.
It's going up because it is going up because I immediately go into negotiation mode. And so what negotiation mode looks like for me, if I'm in that example, is taking note. It's been 3 months, it's been 6 months. I'm doing the role of two people. There are no boundaries. I will do it, but I will have a notebook of all of the responsibilities and the workload that I'm taking on. And then I'm going to the negotiation table, and I will do it with a smile. I will do it with a smile, and I
So
will let
you're referring to a job description. Are
Yeah,
you
they're giving
are
her.
you tangibly talking about creating a job description or labeling out what you have been doing and how
you.
long you've been doing it for?
Mhm.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I think in my previous roles, I can't say that for now, but previous roles that I've had before I became a consultant, I was not liked because I notated every single thing. And you're not going to be liked. However, I think we see a shift in the workplace where, and I'm hoping, I mean, the company that I'm working with right now, one of their value principles, they have 10 core values. And one of their value principles is to love your work and life.
That's
And
good.
so if you love your work and life, then the company that you're working with should understand. They may not see it unless you notate it. Sometimes we give people this benefit of the doubt, like, you know what I'm doing, you know exactly that I'm doing 2 and 3 roles, but they probably don't. And so you need to make sure as a professional first, because these people, this is the boundaries that I'm about to really hit you with.
Mhm.
The people you work with, the people you report to are not your friends. They don't know you on a personal level. They don't know you when you're carrying your work home and crying and talking to your best friend about not getting paid. So you need to show up as a professional,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to write down the things that you are executing for this company's goals and bring it to the forefront as a professional and say, this is what I've been doing. Here's the compensation request. Or you're going to have to find someone else to do the position. I think it's time for people to start standing up and opening their mouth, not to be rude. You can articulate yourself without being rude, but it's
Precisely.
about showing up as a professional, whether you're a male, female, black, white. We are working towards in 2022, because this year's over, still working
Crazy.
towards breaking down these barriers about boundaries and about not letting our gender and our skin color define us and who we show up as in the workplace. And listen, this blue patch, when I a purple patch, when I get on the camera, the purple patch is there. Because you know why? Someone else of a different culture, a different ethnicity, a different skin color is showing up with blue hair. That doesn't make me any less of an educated black person or an educated person, period. So I think we are working towards kicking down doors and making sure that the boundaries that we set in the workplace, we're not holding on to the baggage or the 25-pound weight of, well, I'm the black woman that doesn't have the education, but you've been working there for 25 years doing the same thing. You deserve, the increase as well. You deserve not to be taken advantage of as well. And I think a lot of people are very afraid of speaking out because they're afraid of losing their job, but then they're
Mhm.
burnt out, they're overworked, they're underpaid, they're not satisfied. And right now it's an employee's market. I mean, COVID,
Mm.
it's understand where we're sitting. I wanted to work with this consultancy firm in 2019 and did not make it past the first conversation. I am now working with them right now. So we are in an employee mark. Step up to the plate, ask for what you want. You want 6 figures? Ask for those 6 figures. Believe in what you deserve. And if you don't
Ooh,
set boundaries for yourself, you will not get it.
So I have to
I have
pull
so
up
much
on
to say.
that. Listen, my gosh, Sharoma is just out here.
Tracy,
Why are
you
you
go
dousing
and
like
then
this?
I'll go.
You are dousing us with the bucket.
Because
Okay.
that well, I just want to say, I don't want to butcher your name. Sure, it's Shirake. Miss LaFawn.
Sharika,
Huh?
Sharika,
It doesn't have an A.
SHI.
That's what
Oh,
I saw. But she's saying this is literally me right now. I am doing the work of two people. I'm literally working right now,
yeah.
Mhm.
past my work time, like right now. So, and she was like, I wear my throat on my Zoom call. It
Mhm.
doesn't, I'm doing that. But yeah, what were you gonna say, Trey?
So,
So much to say.
I just had to take a pause, y'all, because I'm not ready. I'm not
I'm
even
ready. Listen,
that person.
I just wanna
So,
affirm
yeah.
Sharika.
So
Sharika, I know
one
you,
thing
girl.
that you mentioned that I think is so good. I'm going to tell y'all a very vulnerable story from today.
I want to hear.
Today, in and of itself, y'all, I really feel like, yo, today, today I had a meeting with my supervisor, right? And she had sent me an email on Saturday morning, which I already was like,
Yeah.
she sent me an
Saturdays,
email,
that's
When
right?
the eyebrow go up.
Saturday morning,
I would have been
8:30
like,
in the morning. And I'm like, ma'am, what's the problem? Like, like this is a fight. Like, I'm like, anyway, she is new to the role, and she sends me an email saying that she wants to meet on Tuesday. And I'm like, I could have had diarrhea, y'all. I don't know about y'all, but like
you
it
were
goes straight to
scared.
like it just goes straight out. Like I can't the one it anyway. So today comes, I'm feeling off all day. I'm trying to gather myself for the day. Just trying to gather
Mhm.
because I have no clue what
That's
this
just
meeting is about,
understand.
and I do not like that. And in
Mhm.
the meeting, actually, I did make a point to say, please be sure, she is, as I said, she is still new to the role. I was like, please be sure whenever you're sending me an email to give me some context. What would you like for me to come to the meeting with? Because that receiving an email on Saturday, and I giggled, but I didn't mean it. I didn't like, I wasn't like, oh, this is a joke. I was like, I don't like that. Right.
Mhm.
So, anyway, ultimately, that's what I said to her. But what you just said hit me like a ton of freaking bricks because she said to me, she asked me a question as to where did I go around a particular project that she asked me to do. And the reality is I had created a whole entire proposal for an increase for a promotion to transition to full time. I'm working there part time.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I am, getting married. So I'm like, ma'am, like, praise the Lord, I am, I do get um paid well.
Mhm.
I'm very grateful for that,
Mhm.
especially as I work part-time. I do get paid well. At the same time, I know I can get better if I were to work full-time. So I made a whole entire proposal and
Mhm.
all of the things, and it has been crickets. So by the time you asked me for this project, ma'am, I was on the matrix.
Yeah.
That's the reality. But what I
Yeah.
said was, oh, I do apologize. That was never the intention. Um, if there's an opportunity to still be part of it, I would love to.
Mhm.
And then when you just said that, I'm like, no, the reason why I am low key holding on to it is because I do know I am getting married. And I do know that I've already forecasted how much money it will take me, how long it will take me to make sure that, that on my end, like the wedding is paid for, the vendors are paid for, like I can manage what I can do, you know?
Mhm.
So a part of me doesn't necessarily want to rock the boat. And to be honest with you, a part of me is like, I'm leaving here and I'm going to go somewhere else.
Mhm.
Um, at the same time, the reality is it is
Mhm.
difficult to now articulate that because it's like, honestly, Sharoma, I cannot be without a month of pay.
Mhm.
2 months of pay.
Mhm.
Like I can based on my savings, but I have not factored in my savings into paying
Mhm.
for the wedding. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So like
So I have a question for you. Is your why is your position and demeanor flight over fight? Because you're saying I'm going to move from here to go someplace else,
Oh,
but I didn't hear you say I'm
yeah.
going to bring back up my proposal.
I brought it back up
You
twice
did?
already.
Okay.
And
Okay.
every time I've brought it up, it has been a hurry up and wait type of,
Mhm.
one of those things
Weird.
where it's like, the new HR person just came in.
Mm-hmm.
My supervisor just came. She just started end of August.
Mm-hmm.
The new HR person just started end of August. So it's been like we are,
Mm-hmm.
like we're trying to work it out. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, right. But long term, I do have an ideal long term. This will
Mm-hmm.
work for right now. This will
Absolutely.
work because it will get me what I need to
What you
do.
it's serving you
It's
right now.
serving me right now
Mhm.
until we get married in May.
So it doesn't serve
Like
you
after
anymore.
that, I'm like, hey,
Absolutely. And
right.
just as I think it's important
And
to
I
have
just wanted
that
to share
position.
that very real example for y'all, because that,
Hmm.
I mean, that is legitimately, I mean, Janelle knows, like this is legitimately what I'm actually in real life
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was
experiencing.
gonna say, I think you sent that email, that proposal, like 3 months. No, it's been
Janelle remembers when I
it's
was
been,
sitting
because
there.
I was saying, I was telling her, I said, Trey, what number do you want? And then I was like, add to it.
Right.
Yes,
You should, yeah.
Whatever
And
you want, add to
yes.
it.
And
Because
I
they're gonna
told
give
her, and I
you,
was like, this is the number. And she's like, are you sure? And I was like, I mean,
and
and
then
then she was like, no, like say
yeah.
what you, and I was like, yo, and to be quite honest with you, saying what I wanted was maybe about 20k more than what I had originally said. But
hmm
I knew where I wanted to be and in the frame, and I was picking a safer framework.
hmm
It's still high, but it was like, oh, let me be like high low. You know what
hmm
I'm
Let
saying?
me
Like
let me
high
tell you
low.
something, and then Sharoma, of course, we want you to go ahead and speak. But
hmm
my friend just told me Saturday that she got a new position, and one of the reasons why they said that they wanted to hire her is because she stuck to her number. They love that because guess what? She's gonna need to do that on their end. And I was
hmm
like, that makes sense. And she was like, literally, I took a fairy tale number and said, here, like, why
hmm
not? To her, it was a fairy tale. To her, it was like well beyond what she thought she can get.
Yeah,
They
yeah, yeah.
actually gave it to her. And one of the reasons why they said they wanted her is because of that. I was like, you
And let me tell you the beautiful part of it all, because even though I am, as I said, working for part time,
hmm
remember, Janelle, for me to even get this job, I negotiated this,
yeah, I
like my
remember.
rate,
Right.
and I was like, if y'all don't like it, it don't matter, because this is what it is. And that in and of itself took a lot, but I was just like,
Yeah.
nah, I'm not going less than that. Nope, I'm not doing. I like
Right.
it, it is what it is. But now moving to a full-time scope in the same place where I have been for 3 years, that's kind
hmm
of the conversation. So I mean, I would love for, as I said, I wanted to share this specifically because I know, like, we have to give, at least in my mind, that's the reason, that's, I mean, we share our lives,
hmm
but like, for real, speaking about this part where it's your livelihood,
hmm
is very
Yeah.
emotional,
hmm
is very emotional, very personal,
hmm
and can be very much so taxing to your spirit in some way, shape, or form. So
Yeah.
that is the reason why I just wanted to express that and tell the fullness of the real truth and the
Yeah.
real story.
Yeah. I mean, your story is not unlike other stories that
Yeah.
people have experienced at various times in their life. Um, and so we love you for sharing.
Yeah.
I think when I listen to stories, I think about what am I supposed to get from that story? And what I heard you say is that for right now, in Tracy's world, Tracy needs this for her personal life and what is going on. However, come May, after this particular position serves me and I no longer need it,
Yeah.
I'm going to look at other avenues. And it's okay to have that self conversation. And I applaud you for having that self conversation because a lot of people do not have this conversation with themselves. And then they end up working in positions where they're unhappy or they feel like they're misunderstood or unheard because a proposal was submitted 3 months ago, 3 years ago, a year ago, whatever the case is, and no one got back to them. And this happens
Oh,
all the time
Mhm.
on every job in every single area. I mean, if you're in media, it happens. If you're a teacher, it happens. If you're a consultant, it happens. It's about how you show up when it happens. Like, none of these situations in any type of career path that you have are different. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
unfortunate, but we have to look at it as a dual lens. You're thinking about it as what's in it for a lot of times we go into jobs is like what's in it for the job, right? Like what can I add to the job? But we have to start thinking about what is in it for me. Like when I'm showing up at this position and I'm asking for this number and I'm doing all these things, what is in it for me? Because the job is looking at you not just as only as a person, but it's like, okay, what's this person going to bring for me and my
Right.
end goal?
Right.
So
Right.
it's the same conversations that we should be having when we show up to positions.
Mhm.
The employer is looking at us when we're selling ourselves and our resume. We have to take that same position when we are in this role. What is this job doing for me? And
Yeah.
we don't have
Yeah.
that conversation enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And always keep in mind that they benefit from having you, like pretty much to add to what you're saying.
Hmm.
Because I always think about like, oh, like pretty much what you said, like, oh, when I'm applying for this job, I need the job.
Hmm.
But they need you too. They need your expertise. And
Hmm.
listen, Black women, they need us right now. Like
Hmm.
we are, we
Yeah.
are we are it. We are
Hmm.
it.
On period.
We were always it. But now
Yeah,
they're coming to realize, oh, we need more. Obviously, we need more diversity, but we
right.
need women women
Hmm.
Mhm.
who are not white.
Right.
Just
And
put it
if you
that way.
notice what's going on too, a lot of what I'm seeing are a lot of these positions for ID&E. Are y'all familiar with that?
No.
Inclusion, diversity, and equity.
Oh
Okay.
yes, yes, ma'am.
A
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
lot of
ma'am. Yes,
a
ma'am.
lot of
Yes, ma'am.
companies now are like, okay,
We need a director of
we need
that,
an
a
inclusion and
coordinator of that.
diversity and equity
Mhm.
officer, and
Yep.
we need them to look like us.
Yeah.
And if you have, like, if you're in a position where you have a HR background, an organizational development background, such as myself, these are positions that are open. When I say it's an employee market right now,
Really?
like Trey, if you weren't about to get married, like I would be having a different conversation with you because I know your intellect and I know how you show up when you show up. I would be telling you to jump the ship. However, I started off the conversation with, is the position that you're currently in serving your needs for right
Right.
now?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it
Mhm.
is. Like
Mhm.
you just said it. I cannot afford to be out of a job looking for a job right now because of what I'm working toward. And that is absolutely fine. It's
Mhm.
going to be an employee market for quite some time because COVID is still here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just do what you got to do until you can make that transition if need be, if no one comes back to you with the answer to your proposal.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
She's gonna have another role and a better role before she gets married. I believe that.
I believe it too. Lord of
I
mercy.
believe that.
We receive it.
We
I
received that.
truly.
Lot of
So we
mercy.
have a lot of comments. I missed a whole lot. Okay. One
I
person
wish
said,
I could see the comments. You already
I
know
don't
how I'm
know how
set
to
up.
show
I
it to you.
cannot.
I put it on the screen, but can you see that?
I've done the one
Oh
sheet
wow.
proposal and
Oh,
sat
okay.
with the owners. I received a small increase. It definitely not what I requested.
We have a
Mhm.
lot. I mean, it goes on. I mean, if anyone
Anyone
is
is overworked and underpaid, go for it and schedule that meeting for a raise.
Absolutely.
yes,
Absolutely.
then
The
we
worst
got
the,
go
the
ahead.
worst thing you could do is like sit there and take it and not speak up for yourself. That's the worst thing you could do because what that then does for yourself is creates internal issues within your health, within your
Hmm.
mindset. I've when you ask me,
Oh, talk about the health. Talk
yeah,
about that.
yeah,
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
asked
yeah,
me, I specifically remember when you asked
yeah.
me earlier, what gives you, these are not the exact words you use, but like how can you speak from about this and from what position and what have you been through? I mean, listen, it would take so much more to tell you everything, but I was in a position that from the outside looking in at one point in my life around 2015, where the position looked great. I don't know, Trey, if you remember.
I
I was
remember that.
traveling
I
so
remember exactly when you were talking about it. I was
much.
like, I remember that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I was in Miami. I was doing a lot. I was a business development manager for the Southeast. I haven't said any company names. Obviously, I won't. However, internally, that position start like you ever sit on a job and like all right here start to feel tight just at the sight of people,
Mm-hmm.
like at the
Mm-hmm.
sight of people because you know they're about to come to
At
your
the
house.
hearing of
Wait,
their name, as the
the
at the
voice.
pressing of their footsteps, you can
Their
hear it.
voice. You're like,
Yep.
mm-mm. That's when I knew. And I'm telling you, there's people that are still there that have worked there for 30 something years that are very unhappy. And
Mm.
I fully believe, and they stay because the perks of the job, but there's perks everywhere.
Yeah,
And there's better.
Yeah.
believe that. You have to believe
Like
that.
you
Yeah.
have to believe and know that. Just as we're saying, stick to your number, you have to believe that there is a better place than where you are currently working. And you have to go for it. And listen, if you don't have a LinkedIn, if you don't have an Indeed, if you aren't on these platforms and you want to make a transition, then you're doing yourself a disservice because I recently started a consulting role and I still get the notifications, even though I turned them joints off, they're still sending me notifications for people that are looking for individuals who are looking.
Mm.
So it's an employee market. What you're currently experiencing, if you're on this live, you don't have to stay there. You need to be in a place that accepts your value that you're bringing as someone that is educated. And education doesn't only have to be school. If you've stayed somewhere
Yeah. Yeah.
and you have learned some stuff from where you currently are, and you have fulfilled that purpose in that role, it's okay. And to know that it is time for you to move on and that you have value add. It doesn't have to be a piece of paper from a university.
Yes.
So
Well,
I'm a just say real quick, two things. It is absolutely not a piece of paper, y'all, because everybody named Mother would have had a piece of paper if it was just a piece of paper. That's all I gotta say.
mhm.
I always say that because I'm like, it's not a piece of paper,
I
but
rubbed you the
it
wrong
is.
way with that.
But listen, but right. So there's so
I
there's
got
that.
papers.
She
Right.
got the paper too. We got the paper.
Right.
We
I
all
got
got the papers.
listen, listen. But the thing that I wanted to quickly mention was how does that then develop the toxicity in the space? So it seems like we're moving into that because the toxicity that is developed in the space, excuse me, I feel like sometimes people may wait for toxicity
Hmm.
in order to say, hey, I gotta go. Versus I'm not growing, so I gotta go. So I wanted to kind of
Hmm.
unpack that a little bit, because you have been consistently talking about being a value add
Hmm.
and really being able to continue to grow.
Hmm.
So if you've reached that cap, is that the reason to go, or is the reason to go because it's a toxic work environment, or now my like all the hives in the back of my neck. I could hear it. I got a headache because I walked into the. I wake up and I'm miserable.
Hmm.
Like so.
So
Yeah.
my answer to that question would be that it's all of it. It's not just one thing. And I think a glass ceiling is toxicity, in my opinion. If you
Yeah.
have hit your
Yeah.
capacity
Yeah.
for growth, that is toxic
Yeah.
because that means you're showing up someplace where you are going to stay the same for the rest of your life. And
Yeah.
if
Like a
that
change, yeah.
bothers you, then that is toxic. Toxicity doesn't have to be I argue with people every day and I
Ooh,
can't
come
stand this,
on.
that, or the toxicity can mean I am the same person
Come on.
I was
Come on.
last year, the year
Mm-hmm.
before that, and the year before that. I keep getting older in age, but my mindset and the way that I approach
Come on.
life
Come
is
on. Come
not the
on.
same. That's toxic.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
toxic. I know
Get the
too
cash
many
app,
baby
yo. Get the
adults.
cash app.
I know too
Girl,
many baby adults, and I
baby
can't.
adults.
She said baby adults. I'm done.
Baby adult.
What is the cash app? Sharima, let us know the cash app.
Well, it was the baby adults. I listen. That's toxic to me
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we
it is.
are we are put on this earth not just to grow in age, but to grow in mindset, to grow in health. to grow in wealth, let's talk about it. That's why you stick to your number. You're not supposed to be making the same money you was making
Hmm.
5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's not okay.
Yeah.
Because, and the reason why you've heard me say value add a million times is because if you're reading a book or books and you're
Added value.
educating yourself, you're adding value to yourself, which means you're adding value to a company. So where's the value in my pay?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Listen, I,
absolutely.
I had a conversation about, so while I was perusing this summer, the employee market, right? I have a very good friend of mine. She has mastered. When I say mastered the corporate world, a world that I never thought I would like be in again because of how bad it was before. And my friend said to me, Sharoma, if you do not ask for 6 figures, like I don't even, and I'm 34, she's 30. Because I ain't saying her name, sis is making above 125 a year. And I'm just like, and she's been making 6 figures since her 20s because she's not afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they won't give
Yeah.
it to you. If
They
you
won't just
accept
they won't just show up with it. They will not just show up with it.
if you accept what number that they put out and don't ever question it, like that's beautiful for them. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know.
How you
I
know?
made one of the biggest mistakes back in my 20s accepting a number and because being happy that I got the position because I've always wanted that particular position, but not challenging them on my number. Like, and then I remember eventually I looking around and somehow I found out my other
Peers.
coworkers,
Mhm.
yeah, my peers, um, salary, and I'm like, I'm the one with the degree actually.
Mhm.
So what am I doing?
Yeah.
Anyway, I learned to advocate for myself real quick after that, and
Yeah.
I mean, actually, no, it wasn't even a real quick. It took me a while. It took me a
Mhm.
while, but I advocate for myself now.
Why do you think it took you a while?
So for me in that particular position, I know exactly why. It's because there was one part of my role that I just wasn't doing well in, and all I could think about was that. And so
Mhm.
therefore I was like, how dare I ask for more when I'm not doing well in this part of my role? I
Mm-hmm.
had to fundraise, and that part I did well in everything, but the
Mhm.
fundraising
Mhm.
was so hard for me.
Mhm.
And so I was like, why would I even ask for more when I'm not doing well in this particular area?
Mm-hmm.
But then my boyfriend at the time, now husband, he's like, but you have the degree. Like that, like plainly, you're bringing so much more. Yes, that's something you need to work on, but you have the degree, like literally. And so I said that, and they were like, yeah, because I got the degree after I got the position. I graduated while working there.
Mhm.
So anyway, that was.
Sometimes it takes a different person to tell you,
Yeah.
He was like, if you
sis,
don't
gather your
ask,
gather your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
if he
Yeah.
was like, if he pushed me, I was like, you're right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we are at 53 minutes.
Wow.
I know, right? I have a question before we just to wrap up.
Mhm.
What does Jesus have to do with all this?
Oh,
What
I
does
love
he have
that.
to do with all of this?
I love that. And so I'm going to answer that question from a space of why boundaries are important overall. Boundaries allow us to grow. And
Yeah.
I firmly believe that Jesus put us on this earth to grow and
Mm-hmm.
to help others grow, right? And so, this entire topic, we said things like adding value. We said things about financial increase. We essentially talked about not only boundaries, but not but we talked about intentionality with words.
Yeah.
We talked about boundaries as well as
Yeah.
abundance. We didn't use that word, but that's what we're talking about, right? And Jesus has everything to do with abundance here and how we operate in the workplace with our friends, family, employees, employers. It's all relevant. And
Mm-hmm.
so the boundaries have allowed us the ones that we set and we live by have allowed us to be in a position to grow from every space that we're in, whether it's our mindset, our finances, our heart, all of that. It helps us to grow in our wellness, in our well-being as a
Mhm,
holistic
mhm,
human,
mhm, mhm.
as
Yeah, he
a
did think
holistic
so.
human.
Yeah.
So somebody put this Jesus created boundaries. When he needed to, he would say, "I'm going to pray. Peace out, y'all."
I mean, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, yeah,
It's true.
yeah,
I'm going to be with my father. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
I need my time.
You
Yeah.
know what?
Absolutely.
I do have to quickly make mention of this, particularly because of that comment. Um, so quick backstory is that Sharoma and I went to college together. Shout out Go Team AU. So we went to college together, and then also we reconnected through a like women's fellowship group.
Mhm.
And um which was called Pillow Talk. And I remember in one particular Pillow Talk, just because I read that comment just now, I remember you going into the bathroom and praying while at work because of the fact that you were like just smelling like the
Mhm.
people. Like I just smelling the people,
Absolutely.
just hearing their feet,
I couldn't take it.
hearing their names, hearing them talk. So I do want to say I do want to quickly mention that specifically because oftentimes we can engage in a conversation and see ourselves grown, in a more growth oriented space, a growth track,
Mhm.
and not recognize how to get there. And so I do want our audience to know that Sharoma as is it has taken the time to get
Yeah.
to here, to
That's
this time. And I remember that, Roma, like literally I remember that. um I remember the voice note. I remember, like, I as I saw
With
that message,
crying,
crying
crying,
and
with
asking
pride.
for prayer, and everybody getting on a prayer call, like, "What's up? Where we at? You in the bathroom?"
that's how you
And
do
like
it. That's how
really
you do it.
praying for her
Crying.
to y'all to get through the day. It wasn't
Mhm.
even on some like there
You
was this
say
meeting, and it was to get
you gotta
through
lean on Jesus,
the
like
day. Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Through the day.
Jesus
The
help
one
because
day,
these people.
but the one day that looked like every other day, but it's that one day.
Mhm.
And I really wanted to make mention of that because often, as I said, like if we're talking about 5 years from now, you made a point to say 5 years ago, you're not supposed to make the same amount that you were making 5 years ago. You're also not supposed to look the same same mindset, same thoughts,
Yeah.
excuse me, from 5 years ago to now. So
Absolutely.
I do want to make sure to say, like, you have really been growing and doing this and working here and toiling here. So it's
Mhm.
a joy, like literally,
Don't
it's
make
a
me cry.
joy to see and
Mhm.
experience you in a space where you're just like, I am the value add,
Mhm.
Yes.
and know that,
Mhm.
because in that position it was like everything, it was the compounded frustration and hurt and anger and just like annoyance, sheer annoyance,
Mhm.
just all the we're trying to be the person that we think, as you were talking about societal time frames and all of those things, like all of that compounded on one another, and then to see you in this space of freedom, to be like,
Mhm.
I am. Yes, it absolutely
Thank you.
does.
Thank
um
you, Miss
so it's like,
LaFon.
it's so beautiful to witness and to see and to experience. So I really, really just cannot end this live without bigging you up, and bigging up what the Lord has been doing inside of you, in and through you, because this has been a journey. Like, this has been a
Mhm.
journey. And so to be here, I'm like, sis, this is beautiful. This
I
is
want to
magic.
say this. It has been a journey, and I'm just getting started.
Absolutely.
Period.
Coach,
Period, Pooh. Yes.
approach every situation like I'm just getting started, honey.
Yes.
If you think I look good now, check me 5 years from now. Okay.
Absolutely. And then we got, I'm assuming that's
Oh,
Crystal.
yes. This is
Hey.
Crystal. I can't. Anyway,
So
so
we
we
got an
gotta
AU
yes,
reunion.
go
Listen,
AU.
Long
Yes.
Island, Strong Island,
Yes.
I
All
was
right.
at, I was at
All
Stony
right.
Brook.
All right.
You was at,
Yeah.
but y'all was coming to our parties, right? I'm sure. I
All
don't know.
right.
I mean, Stony Brook was mad for y'all. But but yeah, no, but seriously, I really just wanted to say that. And I am definitely gonna talk to you offline because if I could find a swoop, I would angle myself in. Because yeah. I really just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank
I do
you.
want to make sure that you let us know how we can get in contact with you because I know all the people want to try to get some info. I mean, like we normally do a what did you miss? And on our page after
Mhm.
our lives, and I'm
There
over
would
here
be
like,
so
girl, I wrote
many.
like 15 different things. I've been like over here in the corner, and I'm like, I don't even know. We probably just gonna put your face. What did you miss? This. That's what you missed. I don't know what else to tell y'all.
Go watch.
But rewatch it, y'all.
Yeah.
But yes, can you let us know where we can find you? Like,
Mhm.
what's up? How we can get into contact with you? What's your LinkedIn? Like, all the things. Like,
All right.
pull up and let us know the deets.
Okay, so my LinkedIn is my name, Sharoma Jacobs. You can find my educational background and all of that. If you want to know me on a personal level, you can find me at Proclaim Your Success on Instagram. That is Proclaim Your Success, all one thing, no underscores, no nothing, spelled the way it sounds.
Right.
Full
People be
spelling, all
laughing
of
at us.
that.
Yeah.
And you can send me a private message if you are struggling with boundaries, whether it doesn't have to be in the workplace only. Like it can be personal boundaries, relationship boundaries, all of that. I mean, Trey doesn't know this, but and Janelle, you would know this. I am seeing somebody,
Okay.
and it's January will make it a year, and I will say this: my personal boundaries have been helping me and helping said person understand the importance of why boundaries are necessary.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I
Oh,
wouldn't say I'm a boundary queen, but I can tell you that I've come from not having any boundaries to having a lot of boundaries, and it is definitely helping. So at the end of the day, like if you have any questions at all, you can hit me up on those platforms, and I will be more than happy to connect with you and have some time with you around this topic and conversation.
Sharoma J, you have to meet us next week while we talk about boundaries in dating and in marriage.
I will be checking in. We'll be checking in.
No,
Yes,
excuse me, not
y'all.
next week,
It's
tomorrow. What am I
tomorrow.
talking
Oh my,
about? You
It's
know why?
tomorrow.
Because today's Tuesday, but I'm thinking
okay.
it's Wednesday.
Yes, and thank you guys for being so accommodating because yeah,
Yes.
thank you
So
so much.
yeah, check us out
I
tomorrow.
will. I will be there.
Boundaries in dating and marriage.
Yeah.
Woo!
I will be there.
Yeah.
I will have my
Yeah.
little comments on the side.
Yes,
Love
please.
to
Please
see it.
do. Please do. We love the comments. We love it.
Well,
All
y'all,
All
right.
thank
right,
you
y'all.
so much for being here with us. We greatly
Yes.
Thanks,
appreciate it. We had a
Shay.
good time. I hope you learned a lot. I think you did. I think
Yes.
you did.
Yes. Yes.
See y'all
So
on the next one.
Yes.
listen, when she come back,
With that.
y'all, gather your life. Gather your life. Okay. So listen, thank you so much for joining us this evening, this afternoon, or this morning, whenever you are
You're
watching
watching.
it. And thank you so much for the people who were commenting and all of that. Thank you so much, Sharoma, for your time. And extending your time because girl, we over here was past an hour at this point. Thank you so much for engaging in this conversation with us. Um, as you already know, thank you so much for plugging in to our lives on Trey and Jay. As you already know, I'm Trey.
And AMJ.
And so just make sure that you are liking, commenting, subscribing. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel. Share, because I know that this was not just information for us to keep and hoard. We not hoarding, y'all, okay? Us and the people in the comments, we not hoarding. Please be sure to share this with others. And if you're not following us on Instagram, what you doing with yourself anyway, right? So follow us on Instagram at Life with Trey and Jay. That's TRAYANDJEA. And as you already know, we are on this channel to share our lives in order to empower others to love Jesus, love themselves, and love others well. So have a good night, y'all.
Good night,
Bye.
ladies.
Yeah.
Thank you.